Good day, friends. My name is Pavel Shtermach, and now we will unveil the top news of these days. Today, Europe and the US marks Victory Day. In Ukraine, we call it the Day of Remembrance and Victory over Nazism in World War II, 1939-1945. And the slogan of this day is Never Again. It became actual in Ukraine nowadays as never before. Attacks and explosions, shootings and torture, occupation and deportations. The horrors of the past have become the present for Ukrainians. Although the face of Nazism is already different, its goal remains unchanged. But we remember history well and know that no matter how great the evil is, if we unite we can win. We remember those who died and bow to the heroes who fought for their homeland, both then and today. We continue to stand for freedom, for our future, for the future of the entire civilized world. The day of our victory is approaching, to confidently and definitely say never again. But now it happens again. And the Russian dictator's goal is to imprison freedom in a ghetto, in a concentration camp called the Russian world, and to export Russia's main asset, barbed wire, worldwide, by repeating the same scenario. Hitler created, swallowing the lens of others step by step and testing the world's reaction. And when the reaction is spineless, the Nazis will keep going. Appeals, resolutions and half sanctions did not stop them. And the only question Putin is concerned about today, who is next?
Russia
has officially approved a list of states that cannot feel safe and called it a list of unfriendly states. Tellingly, it almost completely coincides with the list of the states of the anti-Hitler coalition. Those who defeated Nazism are enemies for modern Russia. The countries of the Eastern Union, the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, and almost 50 states in total. They are free, democratic, and independent, which in the modern Kremlin ideology means dangerous, and therefore they are targets.
War is always a tragedy. It never changes. It is blood, sacrifices, murders, and human losses. War is also pain, destruction of life, mutilation of soul and body. We will always remember the global catastrophe. We did not and do not want a repeat. We miss all our relatives who died or were killed in the Second World War. We have not forgotten how many millions of innocent people suffered in that carnage. We will always remember how many millions of heroes gave their lives to defeat the Nazis, and so that we can live in a modern world. We must do everything possible to ensure that such a tragedy never happens again on a global scale and kill the hydra of reborn Nazism in Russia. We did not start a full-scale war, but Russia did. That is why today we defend ourselves against modern Nazism, the Russism. Yesterday, the Russian Tsar was inaugurated to the throne, and immediately the Russians launched a massive combined air attack on Ukrainian energy. Isn't this Nazism, the desire to destroy the people and make their lives unbearable without electricity? Last night, the Russians launched 55 missiles and 21 attack drones. Our air defense forces, aviation, anti-aircraft missile forces, mobile fire groups and electronic warfare units managed to destroy 33 Ha-101 and Ha-555 cruise missiles, 4 cruise missiles of Caliber type, 2 guided air missiles, 20 attack Shahed drones. At the same time, an air ballistic missile Kinjal, 3 ballistic missiles Iskander, 12 cruise missiles and 1 Shahed did reach the target. The lack of means of anti-aircraft defense makes itself felt. Therefore, Ukraine has been receiving emergency critical assistance from its neighbors since this morning in electricity, and will do it in the evening too.
Tonight from 6 to 11 p.m. there may be restrictions on household and industrial consumers throughout Ukraine. Restrictions will be evenly distributed across all regions. Exactly how the shutdown schedules will operate in each region will be published on the official pages of the local regional energy companies. The reason is a shortage of electricity in the power system. It arose due to new damage to the equipment of Ukrainian power plants caused by Russian strikes. Ukrenergo statement in Telegram.
However, not only the energy infrastructure suffered. In Kirovohrad Oblast, Russians damaged a critical infrastructure facility, destroyed 13 private houses, and injured an 8-year-old child. In Lviv region, Russia attacked 2 objects of critical energy infrastructure. There is a hit to the energy infrastructure facility in Poltava district. Hits to critical infrastructure facilities were recorded in the Vinnytsia region. In the Ivano-Frankivsk region, the target was an energy infrastructure facility too. As a result, a fire broke out. In Zaporizhia region, the occupiers targeted critical and civil infrastructure. There is destruction. The building of the fire and rescue department was damaged. In the Kyiv region, the enemy attacked with kamikaze drones and cruise missiles. A fire broke out at a civil infrastructure facility. 2 people were injured in the suburbs. But the most suffers the Kherson region, which was liberated from occupation by the armed forces of Ukraine. There, the terrorist country hit the civilian railway infrastructure in Kherson. The railway and station were damaged. At present, officials have temporarily limited the movement of the Kyiv-Kherson-Kyiv train to Mykolaiv. People are brought from there by buses. Putin can be proud of himself on the first day of his nth term. This war was started by Russia, expecting to increase its territories based on its gas exports. But the reality is that Russia will never recover its gas business to the level it was before 2022. Europe will no longer buy so much because it is changing technologies, and China is not too interested in new gas pipelines because it wants to diversify sources of supply too. Russia has no equivalent to Nord Stream, a conduit to Germany that allows it to pipe gas to customers elsewhere. It also lacks plans to chill fuel to minus 160 degrees Celsius that specialized tankers required to ship LNG. Until recently, this was only a minor annoyance. Russia now has 2 options: building pipelines to other places or turbocharging LNG exports. Russia is already making more use of Power of Siberia, a pipeline that links eastern gas fields which never served Europe to China. But the project might offer Russia a poor deal. China will retain other sources of gas, starting with Central Asia. Gazprom of Russia, on the other hand, will be dependent on one buyer. The project would also entail other risks. To recoup its investment, Gazprom would have to run the pipe at full tilt for at least 20 years. Supersizing LNG production, Russia's second option, looks a somewhat safer bet. Once upon a ship, fuel can be sent anywhere, and Russia's LNG may outcompete that from elsewhere. The gas Russia feeds in its main liquefaction terminals is cheaper than any exporter bar Qatar, and liquefaction works well in the cold. Yet that may be ambitious. New LNG plants and transport facilities require Western goods that sanctions have made elusive. This litany of difficulties means Russia will not be able to claw back much of the revenue it once earned from Europe. As the green transition rolls on, forecasters reckon the golden age of gas will last for a couple of decades at best. Western sanctions and Russian blunders are not preventing war in Ukraine, but they are dealing a blow to Russia's future as a leading energy supplier. Perhaps this is why Russia is attacking Ukrainian gas infrastructure now, despite the fact that Ukraine transits its resource to the European Union, in accordance with the agreement signed by Naftogaz with Russian Gazprom in 2019. However, Naftogaz contract with Gazprom expires at the end of this year, and the Ukrainian company will not continue it. EU members are currently discussing with the European Commission whether and how Russian LNG could be sanctioned. Policymakers hope EU laws, including electricity market reforms to reduce price hikes and regulate hydrogen and gas supplies, that will allow the bloc to hold out until the United States and Qatar can fully supply large quantities of LNG to the market from 2026. But already now, Russia's gas export revenues have fallen fourfold in 2 years. The failed attempt to freeze Europe, which deprived Russia of a key natural gas sales market, collapsed gas revenues of the federal budget. According to the results of the first quarter, the federal treasury received only 114 billion rubles of gas export duty. Compared to January-March 2023, revenues from gas exports fell by another 17%, and if compared with the same period in 2022, they fell 4.4 times. Having cut off supplies to most European countries, Gazprom lost the largest sales market with which connections had been built for decades. Last year, its exports were the lowest since 1985. That concludes our today's video. Thank you for watching. Stay updated, comment, like and subscribe to our UATV English channel for more news from Ukraine. Your support is what really matters. Goodbye.